Hello, this is Oliver with Everyday Finance. We're just going to be going over the best investments for young and new investors. First, just a few quick things before we get started. All general financial advice has a big asterisk next to it. Anyone like a fiduciary or an accountant who's going to be able to take a more personal look at your finances are going to be able to make your money work for you a little bit better just by looking at what tax bracket you're in, how much you have saved for retirement, and all that kind of other very personal stuff. But if you can't afford to go to one, general advice is going to be a lot better than no advice. In addition, this video is going to be mainly meant for new investors. These are going to be people with little to no financial knowledge. They might not know what a mutual fund is, they might not know how stocks work, and all that other kind of higher level stuff. And this is also assuming that you don't have much capital to start out with, which is pretty much just money you have to invest. Because if you have both of those things, frankly, I don't know why you're watching a video for new and young investors. This also is going to assume that you have some money in retirement savings. That's always going to be the best investment you can make, just to make sure you have money to safely retire when you're older, so you don't have to be working when you're 60. Of course, if you're younger than 25, you can kind of get away with not saving as heavily for retirement and look into some other investments. I don't really recommend that. I always say max out your retirement savings account first and then look for other investments. But again, if you're younger than 25, you have a little bit of leeway. And most importantly, these are all going to be things you can start today. And you don't have to open up a brokerage account. You don't have to go and read 50 financial blogs for the new hottest stock tip. And you can just get started pretty easily and painlessly. I'm just going to give just kind of the quick answers, to be honest, to start out with. That way, if you don't want to have to watch and hear me talk for a while, you can just get right into saving and investing your money. First and foremost, you're going to want an emergency fund. So if you don't have one and you have no dollars to invest with, the best place you can put your money by far is going to be DCU's high interest savings account. You're going to want to put your first $1,000 into there. It has a really nice rate of return of 6.17%. And after that, if you have put more money than $1,000 into it, any money after that first 1,000 is only going to have an interest rate of, I think it's 0.25%, which again is still better than most savings accounts. But if you need a higher emergency fund than just $1,000, which a lot of people will, the next best place to put it into is the PCN high interest savings account. I have a video that I'm going to link to in the description going over these kind of two accounts versus some other savings accounts, and why these just far outperform any other big bank savings accounts, and why these are such a good investment. Now, if you already have an emergency fund and a maxed out DCU account, because again, that's going to be a very good investment, and you still have some money to invest, here's where I'm going to say a good portion of people who are watching this video. The best place you can do it is going to be put into robo-advisors. These are pretty much services that will invest your money for you, and they'll get you a pretty good rate of return on it. The four that I'm going to talk about right now all have apps that you can just go on the Google Play Store, the App Store, download them, open accounts, start putting money into them, and start investing. And it's all pretty seamless and painless, and they're all great ways. It's going to be Betterment, Acorns, Wealthsimple, and Stash. I kind of rated them from best to worst. Here, without going into too depth, the first two are going to have some pretty low expense ratios. Currently, I'm seeing about a 6.2% rate of return on Betterment. I haven't had the account for too long, so possibly in the future that's going to go up, so I can't really talk about that too much. Acorns I've had for a little while. I haven't seen as high a rate of return as I have starting out with my new Betterment account, but Acorns, it has what they call found money, which pretty much is they have partnered with a few corporations like Uber, which if you ride with Uber and have an Acorns account, they'll put a little bit of money into your account, which is why I kind of want to elevate these two. Betterment gives you a little bit better rate of return, but if you're spending money on the accounts partnered with Acorns, you'll probably see around the same amount, if not more, money getting put into your account. And those are going to be the best accounts if you already have if you have an emergency fund already. Those are going to be easily the best way to start investing. And you can pretty much just close this video right now. The rest of it is just going to go into explaining why these are such good investments and why having an emergency fund is so important. So let's just start out with a principles investment of what makes an investment good for you. The first thing that you're going to want to look at is the safety versus the risk of the investment. This goes back to the saying, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Pretty much a safe investment that you know, which is the bird in the hand, is going to be better than an investment, which is going to be the two in the bush, because, you know, you might not be able to get those birds. I think this goes back to bird hunting for some reason. I'm not 100% sure, but this is why that DCU and PCN, those savings accounts, are such good investments for new investors. The next important thing about investing is how much time you're going to be putting into this investment. I personally enjoy finance, but I know a lot of people don't, and they just kind of want to give their money to some investors, let them make money with it, and then just get paid from that, which is what these robo-advisors are going to be able to do for you in those apps that I talked about earlier, versus if you're going to spend a whole month making a good investment. Even if you double your money, if you spend a whole month doing it, you're not going to have fun, and that's no good. And especially if you're not starting with a lot of money to invest with. Let's say you make a $5 investment. If you spend a whole month and you double it, sure, you would have made a lot of money if you put in 10 million, but if you only put in $5, you're going to make $5 over the course of a month, which if you just spent your time at a minimum wage job, you would have made more money. And then the final principle of investing is kind of the earlier the better. This goes to the principle of the time value of money, which pretty just much means that the money you have now is going to be the most valuable money you'll have for the rest of your life. Because if you were to put $10,000 into a savings account, sorry, not savings account, $10,000 into an account that gets you 7% interest, in 60 years from now, you're going to have $1 million. So that kind of just is the principle of the time value of money is that money now is very important, and I'm going to have videos kind of explain that later, so don't worry if you don't totally get it right now. So I'm going to talk about why an emergency fund is so important. 40% of Americans cannot cover a $400 unexpected medical expense. I'm sure you've heard that in the news, that statistic in the news recently. Just having money in a savings account like DCU, like PCN, will prevent this, versus if you have just been saving aggressively for retirement in a non-Roth IRA retirement account. The Roth IRA retirement account is a little special. You can kind of take money out of there. I'm going to link to the video and in the description where I kind of talk about different retirement accounts and why you can take some money out of a Roth IRA. The reason why having an emergency fund is so important is because you don't want to incur debt of something because of like a car repair. Because if you pay for it on a credit card, then you're going to start building debt and you're going to have to pay that off, and you're going to have paid more than if you just had the cash to pay the mechanic to fix your car rather than having to pay it through a credit card. And then finally is with this strategy, investing in those two banks, you'll be able to still make money on your emergency fund versus just putting it under your mattress, which that won't build value over time. So putting money in those two accounts are kind of the best way to start investing. And then of course after you max out that account and you have enough of an emergency fund in PCN, then you want to start investing in Betterment, Acorns, Stash, and Wealthsimple and all that kind of stuff. Why these are good early investments is just because you can't lose money with DCU and PCN. It's all insured. So if you go out and you get into a car accident and for some reason the stock market also crashes, if you have all of your money in those robo-advisor accounts and say you have to pay off your car and you have medical bills, if you have a good emergency fund, you'll be able to put your money towards that versus taking money out of your diminished stock accounts because, you know, the stock market just crashed, which then you might not even be able to pay off those full amounts. And that's why those two accounts I want to say you want to really start putting money into early. And again, once you have a good emergency fund, then you want to start looking at Acorns, Betterment, all that kind of stuff. In addition, 6.1% interest is great since there's no risk attached to it, which is why I will probably always talk about the DCU account in these kind of videos. It's just because it's such a great way for people to start building savings accounts and emergency funds in case if they need it. The other reason why these are good investments is because it's going to be really easy to transfer your money when better options become available. because there are better ways to make money than those robo-advisor accounts and the PCN account and DCU. You can make more money with other avenues, but in most cases, they need a certain minimum to put into the account. You might need $5,000 to open up a mutual fund or anything like that. And these are also good investments if the market is looking down, because you can just put money in there safely, which is why those investments are pretty much the best investments for early investors. That's pretty much the end of this video. Just kind of looking ahead, I'm gonna be trying to put out videos more regularly. I recently just looked at how many views, and I have like 50 views between my first 2 videos, which is an insane amount of growth. I was expecting that I would have to work for months before even getting 1 view, so I want to try and put out videos more regularly and try to start helping you guys out more with your money. So kind of looking ahead, I want to make videos about passive versus active investment accounts. The quick answer is passive is generally better. Even Warren Buffett thinks so, for just kind of your average investor. And after watching this video, if you say, hey, I already have investments in those robo-advisors and that kind of stuff, the best place to make good long-term money are going to be things like index funds, ETFs, which is kind of if a index fund and a stock had a baby, and mutual funds. And you generally want to make sure that those are passive funds. But expect more regular videos, and if you want to, please subscribe, and you'll just get regular videos from me that can help put you in a better financial situation. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day, and goodbye.